The title of the evening in Sala Fontana is To Play the Flute. And I like to find a title by chance. And when I was asked for a title for the evening, I opened a book of the poetry of William Carlos Williams. I closed my eyes, I put my finger on a page, I looked, and it said, To Play the Flute. And I thought, perfect. I was born in Florence in 1935, and with my family left Italy when I was 4 years old. I returned as an adult in '68 and spent a couple of years in Rome. And when I arrived in Rome, I found out that there was Latico Galleria Latico with Fabio Sargentini, and that they were doing performances that Musica Elettronica Viva had performed there just shortly before I arrived. And I spoke with Fabio and told him about the work I had been doing in New York, and ended up doing some performances there in his gallery. And one of the pieces that I performed, one of my very first pieces that I had done in New York, was a piece called Huddle. I sometimes call it Mountain. And it requires a group of people. It could be 6, 7, 8, could be 9 people who stand very close together, forming a huddle or a little mountain, and then they take turns to climb up the mass of people across the top, down the other side, and remain as part of the structure. I considered that piece both a dance and a sculpture, because it was not to be done on the stage. It was to be in a gallery space or maybe in a piazza. And it was, the movement just continued essentially with that form. I had been influenced by seeing some photographs of the Japanese group Gutai, who were sculptors and painters and who started to make performances. I was partly influenced by them, and then coming to Rome became aware of the arte povera movement. And I see a strong relationship between the arte povera, the Gutai, and my huddle, which is a sculpture made of people and is also a dance. Another piece that, and huddle will be performed at the To Play the Flute performances. Another piece that will be performed is one that I made in Rome while I was there, and I had an apartment very near the zoo, the zoological garden, and I was in Piazza del Popolo, so I was also close to Latico. And in the afternoons, while Latico was opened, I would go to the zoo and watch the animals, watch how they move. I was interested that they would move without any sense of stylization, and that's how I wanted to move. Their bodies were in these different ways that they were, and mine was another way. But I wanted to be more aware of the possibility of just moving how I move without some idea of moving in a special way. I would watch the animals in the afternoon, and then in the morning when the gallery Latico was still closed, I would go and use it as my studio and work with the observations I had made. And also getting a sense of the animals, sometimes playing games with movement, like puppies little dogs will play games with movement, cats will play games with movement, we will play games with movement. I was interested in how sometimes the animals would pass the time of day with some movements. I made a dance called Sleepwalkers. I also sometimes call it zoo mantras. And I have taught that dance to the French dancer Claire Filmont, and she will be performing it at FURLA. It's based on the animal movement, but it's also, in a sense, sculptural, because there are 4 basic moves, and each one is placed in space, so that the dancer does one move. One is trying to go to sleep standing up like the flamingos. She works with that for a time at one place in space. Then she just walks to another place in space and works with the swinging head of the polar bear. And so there are 4 moves that are placed in space, kind of like you would place objects in space. Another piece that will be performed to play the flute is called Cloths, like cloth, like material, cloth, but plural, cloths. And it consists of, it's performed by 3 performers. Each one is hiding behind a frame that she or he is holding in place. And on the frame there are many pieces of cloth of different colors, of different weight, of different transparency. So there are these 3 frames with cloths, and each one has a performer hiding behind it and throwing the cloth occasionally over the top. So you don't see the performers, but you see this changing arrangement of a red cloth that's very heavy, a black with stripes, and perhaps something with flowers, and then all of a sudden white, and then maybe green and plaid. So the action is this changing, colorful situation. The performers are also singing songs. Each performer might sing 2 songs during a period of 10 minutes. The songs sometimes overlap, or sometimes there is silence, or you hear one song clearly. And the singing is just singing how you would do at home. So it's a very domestic piece. There's the singing like you might sing in the shower, and then there are all these changing colors of cloth. The 4th piece that will be performed is called Censor. And it was inspired by something that happened regularly to me in New York. When I would ride the subway train, there was one station where the train that I would ride turned. And when it made that turn, it made a terrible noise. It was a very high-pitched, very loud, very dominating racket noise. And one time I just sang. I started to sing, and I sang as loud as I could. I think I sang Il 29 luglio as loud as I could. And I think that the people who were in the train with me did not even notice that I was singing because it was being censored by the noise of the train. So I thought, oh, that would make a good piece. And so I couldn't get a train, but I could get a pan full of nails and shake it very loud. And so one person shakes a pan full of nails very loud, while the other person sings a song very loud, whatever song they want, but it should be loud. And so they try to censor each other. The singer tries to sing louder than the pan of nails, and the pan of nails tries to cover the singing of the singer. That's censor.